Day 5. The fifth day of Satipatthana course is over. We have covered Kayanupasanna. Kayanupasanna is not complete without Vedanupasanna because Anupasanna means to continuously experience the truth, which means to feel the body. Actually, Vedana is central in all four Satipathans. Mind and mental contents also have to be felt. Without feeling, the practice is just an intellectual game. This tradition emphasizes Vedana because it gives us a tangible understanding of anicca, of arising and passing. This understanding at the level of Vedana absolutely essential because without it there is no sampanna. Without sampanna, there is no panna. Without panna, there is no vipassana. Without vipassana, there is no satipatthana and no liberation. Deep samadhi can be gained using any object of concentration. For instance, the breath coming and going, as in the first paragraph of the Anapana section, can be used to gain the deep absorption of the first jhana, then the deeper absorption of the second jhana, and then the third and fourth jhanas. It is quite possible that, along with the awareness of respiration, sensation may also be felt, but without the appreciation of arising and passing, it is not vipassana. Then, from the fifth to eighth jhanas, the body is forgotten. These work with the mind only, and imagination is used. Before his enlightenment, the Buddha had already learnt the seventh and eighth jhanas from Alara Kalam and Uddak Ramaputta and certainly attained much purification. However, he still found deep rooted impurities inside, which he called Anusaya Kilesa. Saya means sleeping, Anu indicates that they follow with the mind from birth to death. Like any dormant volcanoes that can erupt at any time, and any one of them always arises at the time of death. The others just follow on to the next life. For this reason, though he had perfected the eight jhanas, he did not accept himself as liberated. Bodily torture also produced no result. He continued to investigate. From respiration, he started observing sensation, and from this, he gained the understanding of arising and passing. The key to liberation was found. The jhanas which he had practiced previously now had vipassana sampanna added to them. Previously, they were called Lokiya jhanas because they still resulted in new birth and so rotation in the loka, the planes of the universe. Now they were called Lokutara jhanas because with the experience of arising and passing they gave the fruit of nibbana beyond the loka. This is the Buddha's contribution to humankind and it is attained with Vedana, which is why Vedana is so important for us. Observation of sensations. How are sensations observed in sensations? No imagination is involved. It is not as if the meditator is outside and thus examining his or her feeling. No one is standing outside. You must have direct experience. The same applies to Kaya and later to Chitta and Dhamma. The observation must be without any separation of observer and observed or the imagination of any outside examiner. Experiencing a pleasant sensation, the meditator understands this as the experience of a pleasant sensation. The same applies to unpleasant sensations such as pain and neutral sensation, which is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. The words sukha and dukha refer to bodily feelings. For pleasant or unpleasant mental feelings, the Buddha used somanasa and domanasa. Sukha and Dukkha Vedana therefore refer to the sensation on the body. Body by itself cannot feel them and they are felt by a part of the mind. Nevertheless, the body is the base. A pleasant sensation is understood properly as being with craving or attachment or without craving or attachment. In today's India, Niramisa means vegetarian and Samasa means non vegetarian food. The meaning here is pure or impure, a pleasant sensation arising as a result of proper Vipassana meditation. If it is observed without craving or attachment, leads to purity. The same pleasant sensation perhaps encountered through involvement in some sensual pleasure if it is reacted to with craving and attachment with an attempt to increase it is unwholesome and leads to impurity. It leads to rotation in misery. In this sense, a pleasant sensation may be pure or impure. A samasa sensation is just to be observed so that the reaction weakens and stops. A nirmisa sensation towards which there is equanimity and no reaction is also just observed. Then, naturally, according to the law, this faculty of objective observation increases. You do nothing, panati is mere observation based in wisdom. Similarly, whether the unpleasant sensation experienced is pure or impure depends on whether there is a reaction to it. It also is just observed, understood, and accepted as it is. The neutral sensation is understood in the same way. As in every section, similar stations now follow. The stations are felt inside and on the surface of the body and then simultaneously throughout the entire physical structure. Another tradition interprets ajatam as the feeling on one's own body, baheda as the feeling on someone else's body, and ajata baheda as switching between the two. As before, our tradition does not accept this. The meditator is working alone, whether in the forest, under a tree, or in a cell. It is argued that when begging for food, the monk encounters others and has this opportunity to feel their breath or sensations. However, the eyes of serious meditators are downcast, and at most they might see someone else's legs as they walk, so this interpretation seems illogical. Of course, at a very high stage of observation, the meditator becomes very sensitive to the sensation of others also, and to the vibrations of the surrounding atmosphere and of animate and inanimate objects. Possibly, it could be understood in this way. Otherwise, to practice on someone else's breath or sensations is unworkable. It is better, therefore, to take ajatam as inside and bahida as on the surface of one's own body. This and the following stations, which occur in every section, are very important. The meditator has to pass through them. The arising of Vedana, the passing of Vedana, and the arising and instant passing of Vedana are felt. In Kayanupassana, the stage of Atikayo came when the body became merely a mass of subatomic particles with no valuation or judgment. Sanna no longer recognized it as human or animal, male or female, beautiful or ugly. It became just body as body, beyond differentiation. Similarly, sensations are now seen just sensations, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. There is no judgment, no evaluation, no sanna. The awareness now established is of sensations as just sensations, then the same stations follow to the final goal. The role of Vedana was the Buddha's great discovery for humanity. It is the important junction from which two roads start, either Dukkha Samudaya Gamini Patada, the road in which misery is continuously generated, or Dukkha Nirodhagamini Patada, the road in which misery becomes totally eradicated. He discovered that every reaction, every sankhara can be generated only with the feeling of sensation, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. At the deepest level, the mind constantly reacts to Vedana throughout the body in every particle, all the time, wherever there is life. Unless sensations Vedana are experienced, any freedom from craving or aversion is only at the surface of the mind. It is an illusion of non reaction because it is only in relation to outside objects, to the outside world of sound, vision, smell, touch, feeling, or taste. What is missed is the reality of your reaction, because every contact of an object with a sense door is bound to produce a sensation on the body, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This is missed. You must go to that depth where you feel sensations and yet do not react. Only when you are aware of sensations and equanimous towards them can the habit pattern of the mind be changed at the deepest level. Deep rooted sankharas, like lines drawn on rock with chisel and hammer, can then come up and pass away. Otherwise, the process of multiplication continues. Therefore, Vedana plays such an important role in Satipatthana. Observation of mind. How does a meditator practice observation of mind in mind? In mind means by direct experience, as in body and in sensations. To avoid any imagination about the mind, something must happen in it, because something happens and then passes away. It can be felt as sensation. Sargam means with craving. If craving has arisen in the mind, this is just observed. When it passes away and the mind is free of it, this is just observed. The craving arose and passed away. The reality of mind with or without aversion is observed, and when the aversion passes away, the mind is free of it. Similarly, moh, illusion, delusion, confusion, ignorance is observed. When it has gone, the mind is free of it. When the mind is collected and concentrated, this is just observed and accepted. In deeper, when the mind is expanded, using imagination to a limitless area is called Mahagatta, big, whether or not it is Mahagatta. This is just observed. Suatra means there are higher minds or scope for development. Anuttara is when there is nothing higher, mind has reached the highest stage. This also is observed. Whether the mind is deeply absorbed in samadhi or not is observed. Whether the mind is liberated or in bondage is also observed. The same stations follow. Mind is observed inside and outside. Again, this tradition does not accept Bahida as the mind of someone else. At a high stage of purification, the meditator does develop the psychic power to read the mind of others, but this is not a final station. Mind inside is a mind experiencing something within the framework of the body. Mind is taken as outside when it experiences an object from outside, when it feels a sound coming into contact with the ear, a shape with the eye, a smell with the nose, a taste with the tongue, something tangible with the body, or a thought of something outside. However, the whole process is still within the framework of the body. Mind is taken as outside when it experiences an object from outside. When it feels a sound coming into contact with the ear, a shape with the eye, a smell with the nose, a taste with the tongue, something tangible with the body, or a thought of something outside. However, the whole process is still within the framework of the body. Mind itself always remains inside the body, even when its object is outside. Then arising and passing is experienced, and the stage of Ati Chittam Ti is reached. It is just Vijnana, just mind, not I or my mind. The awareness gets established in this. Then there is mere wisdom or understanding, mere observation. There is nothing to support or to grasp. A Vipassana meditator understands how, when there is mere awareness, only cognition functions. There is no process of multiplication of misery. Recall the words spoken to the old hermit who came all the way from near Bombay to Savatthi to meet the Buddha. These words were sufficient, in that the hermit had already practiced 8 jhans. In seeing, there is only seeing, nothing beyond it, because there is no evaluation or reaction. There is just hearing as hearing, smelling as smelling, tasting as tasting, touching as touching, and recognizing as recognizing. This high stage takes time, but it must be reached to experience Nibbana. The practice is to understand this process. All the sense doors are on the body, so the body is central. There is a contact with the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body touch, or mind. Vijnana recognizes that something has happened. The sanna evaluates it as good or bad, and the sensation that results is pleasant or unpleasant. Sankhara reacts and bondage, misery starts. These other aggregates overpower Vijnana. Sankhara has become so strong and Vijnana so weak. As a result, misery and bondage have become so strong. The practice is to weaken Sankhara and Sanna and to strengthen Vijnana until there is nothing else but mere understanding and awareness. The Buddha practiced 8 jhans before his enlightenment. The name of the 8 jhana is Nivasana, Nasanayatana. In this, Sanna cannot be said either to exist or not exist. Although it has become so feeble, it does still exist, so the Buddha did not yet call himself a liberated person. Using Vipassana, he developed the leading to Nibbana and introduced the 9th jhana, which is called Sanna Vidayata Nirodha, where Sanna and Vedana stop. So long as Sanna functions, however feebly, it will produce a reaction, a sankhara. Sanna must be totally eradicated to experience the stage of Vijnana as Vijnana. Observation of mental contents. For the mind and body be felt, something must arise on them, otherwise the practice is just imagination. Therefore, chitta can only be experienced when something arises and passes away, such as rag, dvesh or moh. What mind contains is called Dhamma. Many words used by the Buddha are difficult to translate because they have no equivalents in other languages. Of these, Dhamma is the most difficult. Its range of meaning is vast. Its root meaning is Dhareti Dhammo, that which is contained. It is what is contained in the mind. A further remaining became the nature or the characteristics of whatever arises in the mind. Sometimes in the languages of India today, it is said that the Dhamma of fire is to burn. Burning is its characteristic. Otherwise, it is not fire. The Dhamma of ice is to cool, or it is not ice. Similarly, craving contains its own Dhamma or characteristics, which is to create agitation and misery. The Dhamma of love and compassion is calmness, harmony, and peace. So Dhamma became the nature or the quality. After a few centuries, the term Dhamma or nature was divided into Kasula, wholesome, or Akusala, unwholesome, referring to its fruits. Impurities contained in the mind, such as anger, hatred, animosity, passion, fear, and ego, which give unwholesome fruit, were called Akusala. Qualities which were to one's credit and gave a better life, such as compassion, goodwill, and selfless service, were called Kusala. Thus, in the old literature, we find Dhamma divided into pure and impure. Slowly a kusala became a dhamma or pap, anti-dhamma or sin, that which causes rotation and misery. Then dhamma became used for anything wholesome contained in a person which leads to liberation. The meaning of Dhamma continued to expand. As the result of a mental content is observed, say what happens as a result of anger or compassion. The law of cause and effect, that is, the law of nature, starts to be understood. Therefore, Dhamma can be whatever is contained in the mind or the characteristic of that which is contained, or the law of nature, that is, the law of the universe. How does a meditator practice observation of the Dhammas? The hindrances. Nirvana means a curtain or cover, that which prevents the reality from being seen. In the 10-day courses, we refer to the Nivarnas as the 5 enemies: craving, aversion, drowsiness, agitation, and doubt. An example is given. At that time, there were no mirrors, and people used to look at the reflection of their faces in a pot of clean water with a light. If the water is dirty, colored, or agitated, you cannot see it properly. Similarly, these nivarnas are enemies to your progress on the path of observing reality, because they color or prevent you from seeing it. Again, there is no imagination involved. Dhamma is experienced in Dhamma, nor does this section involve any contemplation. How then are these hindrances observed? When a craving for sensual pleasures is present inside, this is just accepted. There is just awareness of this fact. When it is not present, this is understood. Just awareness of the reality as it is, from moment to moment. Then those kamachandas which were lying deep inside and had not previously come to the surface, anupanna, now do so, upada. This is also understood. Things arise and sooner or later pass away. Similarly, this craving arises and passes away. As layers after layers arise and are observed, they are eradicated. The layers that have been eradicated do not come back again. All this is just observed and understood. When all the accumulated craving has been eradicated, full liberation is reached. The mental habit of generating craving is gone, and no such sankhara can be generated now. In the same way, the meditator understands aversions to be present or absent. The whole process of Vipassana is described in these paragraphs. Whatever past aversion was lying low, like a dormant volcano deep inside, arises. This is also observed and eradicated. Unless the habit patterns is totally changed, sankharas of aversion of the same type will start anew. When all are eradicated at the root level, nothing comes back. This is the final goal. It is impossible for an arahant to generate any new craving or aversion. Similarly, drowsiness of the mind and body, agitation, doubts, skepticism are eradicated. It should be clear that every dhamma, anything that arises on the mind, even a slight thought, starts flowing with the sensation on the body. This law of nature was realized but not created by the Buddha. Whatever arises, anger, passion, or anything else, if the sensation is observed, the meditator is working properly. Otherwise, it is an intellectual game. Anger may have gone away at the surface level, but deep inside the sensation remains, and the mind continues to react with anger to this sensation without the meditator even knowing. Therefore, so far as this tradition is concerned, the sensation on the body cannot be missed. The words of the Buddha are so clear. Every moment, there must be awareness of sensation arising and passing. Whether you are practicing any section, without the understanding of arising and passing of sensation, the accumulated impurities at the depth of the mind can be neither reached nor eradicated. The practice will just be a surface game. The same stations follow, observing inside and on the surface, and then arising and passing. The stage of Atidhamma is reached, neither good nor bad, mine nor yours, just the law of nature, mere mental contents and their nature. The same stations follow until there is nothing to grasp. When craving has arisen, you cannot take it out with aversion, otherwise, you generate a new sankhara of aversion. If you just accept that there is craving in the mind, then you are just observing, and the reaction, which is the nature of craving, is not being multiplied. It is weakened and becomes feeble. Any mental impurity is similarly observed. Even the practice of intellectually contemplating the body as repulsive, as in some opening paragraphs, was given by the Buddha merely as a beginning to bring people on the right path. Once Vipassana starts, there is no aversion of this ugly body. It is just observed as it is with the wisdom of arising and passing. It is just awareness with the understanding of anicca. Whatever arises, whether good or bad, pure or impure, there is mere observation, no attempt to retain or push it out. This is the proper path to the final goal. The path is long, but it starts with the first step. Don't be disheartened if the final goal is far away. No effort is wasted on this path. Whatever effort you make gives you benefit. You have started on the right path to the final goal. Step by step, as you come nearer and nearer, you are bound to reach the final goal. May all of you keep walking on this path step by step. Make use of the time and the facility, understanding the direct words of the Buddha. Make use of this wonderful technique. As much as possibly, try not to miss sampanna in any situation, excepting only the time of deep sleep. Try to be aware with sampanna in every physical activity for your own good, benefit and liberation. May you all be liberated from the bondages, the miseries. May all beings be happy.